Reading outside the reading list. With each assignment, there'll be a reading list, often called a resource list at the University of Birmingham. Firstly, let's have a quick think about the function of this resource list. You're not necessarily expected to read every item in full. It's often a framework, a sort of map, and some lecturers will suggest core reading and secondary reading, which makes it easier. Resource lists aren't totally prescriptive. You can go beyond the list, and sometimes it's a good idea. But why would you want to look further outside the reading list? Why make your reading more complicated? There are several reasons. Firstly, if all students used exactly the same text to produce their assignment, they'd all take the same approach, which wouldn't help anyone. But there's a more important reason. You may be able to get extra marks if you can show evidence of outside reading beyond the list. Wide reading gives you a chance to excel, to show that you've come up with a different and creative approach to the assignment, and it can demonstrate that you're thinking more critically. So going beyond the reading list can give you a new direction, a new way forward. So how do you go about this? Well, start by managing the reading list. If time doesn't permit, don't read everything on the list, but do have a reading plan for the assignment. You probably know something about the subject, so start with a list or a mind map to crystallize your existing knowledge and to give you a context for future reading. Always give yourself a time frame. When you start looking at the essential text on the list, decide what you're looking for, what you want to take from the texts. This will help you to read actively, to make notes rather than simply highlighting or underlining phrases. You also need to be selective in how you read. Find your way into a text by reading an abstract or summary if there is one. If it's a book, use a contents page in an index. A journal article or conference paper, start with the abstract and only read on if the material looks relevant. As you read more of the essential text, you might start dipping into the secondary reading and then outside the resource list. So keep refining your timeline and your reading plan. What I mean is, when you've got an outline of the subject, check on your timescale. Can you afford to read outside the resource list? If time does not permit, stick to the basic core text and useful secondary texts. But if you are reading outside the basic list, here are 5 useful tips. 1. Keep the reading focused, and that means looking for anything which gives you a better framework. 2. Use the library catalogue, find it. 2. Look for similar material on the subject and use databases such as Web of Science to follow up specific references. 3. Follow up in the areas which will give your essay more depth and fill out gaps. 4. Read everything actively with a focus and with a point, so keep asking yourself questions. How is this relevant? Or what is the point of reading this? Why am I reading it? And fifthly and lastly, learn when to stop reading and get on with your writing. So working through the resource list and reading around it is a skill that you can and you will develop over time. It just takes some practice, a system, and plenty of focus. So, good luck deciding when and how to go outside the reading list. Good luck.